In a galaxy on the verge of war, a human marine teams up with an alien scientist. Their mission? To stop the conflict and change the fate of multiple civilizations. What turns a torture device into a human relaxation craze? How do humans become the force uniting warring factions? Brace yourself for a tale of courage, unbreakable spirit, and ethical dilemmas. If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. In the serene but isolated confines of Outpost Theta 23, Dr. Tamali Tisholta, an esteemed scientist from the technologically advanced planet Soriana, was meticulously preparing for what could be the pivotal mission of his career. Tamali's background was storied, hailing from a lineage of scholars and innovators. His pale blue skin, characteristic of his kind, contrasted sharply with the dark, intricate markings that ran along his arms and neck, indicative of his numerous accomplishments in bioengineering. His vibrant green eyes, sharp but compassionate, reflected a mind always buzzing with the insatiable curiosity that pushed him to the brink of the unknown. The galaxy, once a vast expanse of coexistence, was now riddled with the palpable tension of imminent war. The Duvan Empire, hungry for dominance, had spread its shadow over countless systems, including Soriana's. Tamali's work, potentially a breakthrough in interspecies genetic harmonization, could be the edge his people needed to shield themselves from the looming threat. However, this mission wasn't just an intellectual pursuit. It was a gamble against time, with high stakes that brought hesitation even to Tamali's steady hands. The mission required traversing an uncharted part of his planet covered by the illustrious but perilous bioluminescent forests of Lumora. These forests, with their ethereal glow and treacherous wildlife, were a place few dared enter, but they were believed to hold the genetic keys that Tamali desperately needed. Joining Tamali was an unexpected but invaluable ally, Sergeant Jeff Steele Larson, a decorated human marine whose reputation for combat prowess and unyielding resilience preceded him. Jeff was a towering figure of raw strength and refined experience, his physique adorned with scars and tattoos that testified to countless battles fought and survived. His piercing brown eyes held the weight of a soldier who had seen the fragile line between life and death far too often. Earth had been an emerging player in the intergalactic arena, and its military forces, known for their unusual effectiveness, had earned a fearsome reputation, one that Jeff embodied in its entirety. Jeff's inclusion wasn't purely based on his physical capabilities. His strategic mind and quick adaptability made him an asset in unpredictable scenarios. Together, this unlikely duo ventured from the safety of their research base, equipped with an array of advanced tools and weapons, ready to face whatever perils awaited them. The bioluminescent forest was a mesmerizing sight, with each step revealing a new spectrum of colors as the flora reacted to their presence. The trees, tall and ancient, whispered secrets of the cosmos in a language of light, while the underbrush rustled with creatures unseen but undoubtedly aware of the intruders. The air was thick with the fragrance of alien blooms, a heady mix of scents that seemed designed to enchant any who dared to wander through. Yet, there was a constant sense of foreboding, an all too familiar reminder that beauty often cloaked danger. Amidst this enchanting landscape, Tamali and Jeff set to work, collecting samples of flora and soil. Each specimen was carefully catalogued, their potential as pieces of a larger genetic puzzle intriguing Tamali to no end. Jeff, while focused on safeguarding their venture, couldn't help but be in awe of the scientists' enthusiasm and dedication. But their tranquil progression was about to be shattered. Without warning, the air was rent by a cacophony of sounds, blaster fire, the rush of movement, and the guttural shouts of an approaching Soriano squadron. The forest, moments ago a serene backdrop, became a battleground as they were ambushed by the Soriano forces, intent on thwarting Tamali's work. Jeff's instincts kicked in instantly. He moved with a precision that spoke of years of rigorous training and battlefield experience. His combat style was brutal yet efficient, blending human resilience with tactical superiority. The Soriano soldiers, trained and skilled in their own right, were no match for Jeff's relentless assault. Each strike, each maneuver he executed, was an embodiment of his formidable reputation. Despite being outmatched in numbers, he held his ground, creating an almost impenetrable defense around Tamali. Tamali, while primarily non-combatant, wasn't entirely defenseless. He used his knowledge of the environment to create momentary diversions, using bioelectrical plants to stun attackers and manipulating the forest's natural iridescence to obscure their positions. But as the fight dragged on, the overwhelming numbers began to take their toll. Just when it seemed they might turn the tide in their favor, an energy net ensnared them, rendering their efforts futile. Captured and shackled, they were taken aboard the Soriano ship, a cold and oppressing contrast to the vibrant forest. The corridors of the ship echoed with the whispers of fear and anticipation as Tamali and Jeff were marched to the holding cells. Tamali's mind raced with questions and worry. What would become of his research? How had their mission been discovered? And more pressingly, what fate awaited them at the hands of their captors? Jeff, though visibly restrained, retained a calculating calm. He scanned their surroundings, noting details that could later prove crucial for an escape. Inside their cell, the two prepared themselves mentally for whatever was to come. Tamali's scientific insight provided a semblance of a plan, while Jeff's military experience offered hope for survival. The blend of intellect and strength would be their only allies in the uncertain moments ahead. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the heart of this epic saga. How far is a man willing to go to preserve knowledge, and at what cost will resilience hold against the trials ahead? Stay tuned to uncover the destiny that awaits these courageous beings. The bioluminescent canopy flickered in rhythmic patterns above, painting the dense alien forest with hues of azure and violet. In this surreal, otherworldly setting, Tamali and Jeff were engrossed in their crucial mission, having delved into the heart of the forest to procure invaluable samples. Their dynamic was one of contrast. Tamali, the dedicated Soriano scientist with his delicate hands carefully securing botanical specimens and geological samples, and Jeff, the imposing human marine whose every movement was infused with tactical precision, always alert for any form of danger. The ambient sounds of alien wildlife and the rustling of peculiar, glowing foliage provided a deceptive tranquility, masking the impending threat that lurked unseen. Without warning, the serenity was shattered by a blinding blaze of blue light. The distinct high-pitched whine of energy weapons pierced the air, causing Tamali to immediately seek cover while Jeff's combat instincts kicked in. Emerging from the shadows, an armed Soriano squadron surrounded them in a meticulously orchestrated ambush. Their crisp, military uniforms glowed under the bioluminescent flora, their visors reflecting the fluorescent landscape. Their intentions were clear: capture or kill. Amidst the chaos, the squadron's leader, a Soriano with commanding presence and a face marked by battle scars, bellowed orders in their native tongue. Understanding the severe implications, Jeff unsheathed his plasma blade and simultaneously drew his multi-barrel blaster. With a swift, fluid motion, he deflected incoming lasers, his combat prowess immediately evident to his captors. Each movement was measured and precise, a symphony of lethal efficiency that transformed him into a whirlwind of destructive force. Tamali, caught between the urge to flee and his duty to the mission, could hardly keep his eyes off Jeff's extraordinary display. Jeff moved like a shadow, a blur of motion and flashing lights as he engaged the Soriano soldiers. They were undoubtedly competent, trained warriors of the Empire, but Jeff's sheer tenacity and innovative fighting methods astounded them. Utilizing the lush terrain to his advantage, he evaded capture while neutralizing multiple aggressors, combining martial discipline with raw survival instinct in a way that rendered him nearly invincible. But sheer numbers began to tilt the balance. For every soldier Jeff incapacitated, another seemed to emerge from the undergrowth. Led by their tenacious commander, the squadron tightened the noose, employing complex tactics to corner and overwhelm their formidable opponent. Jeff's precise defense began to falter under the endless barrage. Tamali's heart raced as the inevitability of their capture became clear. In the final moments of the skirmish, Jeff, still fighting valiantly, was subdued by an advanced electromagnetic pulse trap, a tool specifically designed to neutralize high-threat targets. Jeff's weapons clattered to the ground, momentarily rendering him immobile. A sense of defeat loomed large over them. The squadron, though battered, had succeeded. Bound with restraining cuffs, Jeff was marched forward, his defiant eyes meeting those of their scarred leader, who offered a grudging nod of respect before issuing their departure order. As they were herded onto a Soriano transport vessel camouflaged within the forest's mystical glow, Tamali's mind raced. The implications of their capture were numerous, the stakes impossibly high. Betrayal, warfare, scientific exploitation, all were possible outcomes. But what haunted him most was the fate awaiting Jeff, his twisted serenity in the face of overwhelming odds a lingering mystery. Once aboard the vessel, a sleek, cylindrical craft designed for stealth and speed, Jeff and Tamali were escorted to a containment area. The high-security chamber was stark and functional, its walls lined with restraints and slim observation ports. The oppressive atmosphere pressed down on them, magnified by the low, throbbing hum of the ship's engines. Observing their bound forms, their captors exchanged whispers, inflections of curiosity and apprehension lacing their conversations. For Tamali, the scientist in him sparked with a morbid curiosity about their fate and the sophisticated technology around them. For Jeff, the warrior, each moment was a test of resolve, his mind calculating escape routes and contingencies even within the confined space. Amid the shadows of their prison, the future remained an uncertain battle, the unfolding events cloaked in both peril and hope. The containment room's door slid open with a soft hiss. The scarred commander entered, flanked by two subordinate officers. They carried a device that immediately captured Jeff's attention, a coercion harness, a notorious piece of Soriano technology reputed to extract information through extreme physiological and psychological manipulation. Its presence signified the gravest threat, a mechanism engineered to break the stoutest of wills. They wasted no time in securing Jeff to the harness, the cold metal clamps snapping around his limbs and torso. The irony of the situation struck both Tamali and Jeff forcibly. The same devices meant to incapacitate their enemies were about to be turned against them. Yet, in the swirling depths of uncertainty and malevolence, a layer of suspense hung heavy, a suspense that clung to the very fabric of their ensnared destinies, neither of them fully grasping the extent to the twists yet to come. As the last clasp of the harness clicked into place and the device powered on with an ominous hum, their spiraling descent into the unknown had only just begun. The cold metal of the Soriano ship's interior amplified the tension lingering in the air as Jeff and Tamali were escorted to the holding cells. The ship's corridors, illuminated by a sterile blue glow, twisted and turned in a labyrinthine manner, adding to the growing sense of disorientation. Soriano guards, their expressions hidden behind metallic masks, flanked them, their presence a constant reminder of the peril they were in. The hum of alien machinery mingled with the distant murmur of conversations, creating an uneasy backdrop to their predicament. Jeff, a human marine with an unyielding spirit, was forcibly separated from Tamali and brought into a dimly lit chamber. The room was dominated by a sinister-looking apparatus, the coercion harness. This device, infamous among Soriano interrogators, was known for its ruthlessness, designed to inflict unparalleled psychological and physical agony. Its sleek, gleaming exoskeleton was fitted with neural probes and biofeedback monitors, and it loomed in the center of the chamber like a ghastly monument to suffering. The Soriano scientist leading the interrogation, Dr. Narixis, was a figure of curiosity cloaked in a veneer of rigid professionalism. Her androgynous figure moved with precision, her 6 nimble limbs reflecting her meticulous nature. Her multifaceted eyes observed Jeff with a mixture of disdain and interest. Soriano culture valued intellectual prowess above all, and the sight of a human, renowned for their brute force rather than intellect, being brought before her both intrigued and irritated her. The notorious human resilience, Dr. Narixis mused aloud as she activated the coercion harness. Let's see if it holds. With an efficient series of movements, Jeff was secured within the harness. Cold metal clasps locked around his wrists and ankles, and neural probes made contact with his skin, ready to transmit an onslaught of excruciating stimuli. Tamali, restrained and helpless in an adjacent observation room, watched through a transparent barrier, his heart pounding. He knew the harness's reputation. Survivors often spoke of it in hushed, haunted tones. As the device powered up, Jeff's demeanor shifted from stoic defiance to relaxation. The initial pulses of pain were transmitted, causing a slight twitch in his muscles. Yet, instead of the expected screams and convulsions, Jeff's face relaxed, his eyes closing as if in meditation. The painful neural feedback seemingly transformed into something akin to a deep massage. Dr. Narix's multifaceted eyes widened in disbelief. She intensified the harness's output, but Jeff's reaction remained unchanged. He appeared serene, his breaths deep and even, almost as if he was on a tranquil retreat rather than at the mercy of a torture device. Murmurs erupted among the Soriano crew, their shock palpable even through the barrier of Tamali's confinement. Struggling to maintain her composure, Dr. Narixis switched the device to its highest setting, a level meant to break even the staunchest beings. The neural probes sparked, emitting an eerie glow as they fed a torrent of agony into Jeff's nervous system. Yet, defying every expectation, Jeff seemed to absorb the ordeal, his body finding an inexplicable harmony with the barrage of pain. What is happening? Dr. Narixis whispered to herself. Her deductive mind raced, trying to fathom what she was witnessing. Had humans evolved some kind of adaptive mechanism to torture? Or was Jeff a unique anomaly? Throughout the ordeal, Tamali's eyes remained fixed on Jeff. He was no stranger to the legends of human fortitude, but witnessing it firsthand was an entirely different experience. As a scientist, Tamali's analytical mind struggled to process the evidence before him. The human capacity for resilience was far beyond anything they had anticipated. In an adjacent sector, the captain of the Soriano ship, Commander Vraxer, was notified of the bizarre turn of events. Clad in regal, draped attire fashioned from rare metals and biofabrics, Commander Vraxer exuded an air of authority and cunning. He entered the observation room with a stride that echoed his impatience. Watching Jeff in the harness, his disbelief was evident. "Report, Dr. Narixis," he commanded. "Commander, the human exhibits an unanticipated physiological response to the harness," Narixis replied, her voice tinged with frustration and awe. "It's as if the device is soothing him." Commander Vraxer's hardened expression softened into a contemplative frown. "This changes everything," he muttered. "If their pain threshold is this extensive, our entire strategy against the humans and their allies must be reevaluated." Tamali, who could hear the exchange, felt a surge of hope and fear. Hope, because Jeff's resilience had shattered the Soriano's confidence, and fear, because it signaled an escalation that could bring even harsher measures upon them. Back in the interrogation room, Dr. Narixis, driven by a blend of scientific curiosity and professional pride, decided to interrogate Jeff, now aware that traditional methods were futile. She deactivated the harness, and the neural probes withdrew, leaving Jeff momentarily disoriented but unbroken. "Tell me, human," she began, her voice wavering between curiosity and frustration. "How do you withstand the harness? What is the source of your resilience?" Jeff, still recovering from the intense neural feedback, regarded her with a calm intensity. He remained silent, his piercing gaze conveying defiance and an unspoken resolve. The silence that followed was heavy with the clash of wills. Frustrated, Dr. Narixis turned her attention to Tamali, considering the merits of leveraging his expertise and history with Jeff for insights. Knowing Tamali's loyalty to the Interstellar Union might yield answers, she instructed the guards to bring him to the chamber. Reunited under dire circumstances, Tamali and Jeff exchanged a brief look of solidarity. For Tamali, the situation was fraught with ethical dilemmas. Could he betray the trust of his companion to ensure their mutual survival? Or should he maintain solidarity against their captors, adhering to the moral high ground? Dr. Narixis, observing the silent exchange, seized the moment. "Tamali," she said with a calculated tone, "as a fellow intellectual, your insight could shed light on this human anomaly." Tamali hesitated, torn between his duty as a scientist and his loyalty to Jeff. Summoning his inner resolve, he replied, "The human's resilience is not simply a biological trait, but a cultural and psychological one. It's their tenacity, their ability to endure, adapt, and even repurpose suffering into strength. This is something no device can break." As he spoke, Tamali realized the profound truth of his words. Humanity's strength lay not just in their physical capabilities, but in their ability to find purpose in adversity. As Jeff emerges victorious from the terrifying yet strangely rejuvenating experience of the coercion harness, the atmosphere aboard the Soriano vessel crackles with an unparalleled intensity. For any witness, the moment is surreal. One might have expected Jeff to appear weakened, scarred, mentally broken by the device engineered specifically for ultimate torment. Instead, what stands before the rescue team, and the shocked Soriano crew, is a figure of unwavering strength and enigmatic calm, a living testament to the unyielding fortitude inherent in the human species. The corridors of the Soriano ship, dimly lit by the ambient bioluminescence of the ship's alien design, pulse with a quiet hum and the distant echoes of the recent skirmish. Surviving Soriano soldiers, once fierce and unapproachable, now cast furtive, almost respectful glances at the human contingent securing control of the vessel. Their eyes fixate not only on Jeff but on the repurposed coercion harness that now stands as an ironic monument to human resilience. Tamali, who has been silently processing the whirlwind of extraordinary events, steps forward to join Jeff and the rest of the rescue team. His alien visage, characterized by his emerald eyes and luminescent skin, reveals a mixture of perplexity and admiration. Though a seasoned scientist, accustomed to the peculiarities and wonders of the universe, he finds himself profoundly moved by this latest turn of events. The irony is undeniable. A device of pure suffering has been subverted into an instrument of rejuvenation, and nowhere is this more evident than in Jeff's relaxed yet alert demeanor. As the days pass, the rescued humans, alongside Tamali and other members of the Soriano ship, attempt to find a semblance of normalcy in the newly forged scenario. The fractures of former enmity slowly begin to heal as the two species cohabit the limited confines of the ship. The transformed coercion harness, now colloquially referred to as the human relaxation spa, gains an almost reverential status among the humans. This newfound use of the device quickly becomes a focal point of cultural exchange, sparking amicable conversations between Soriano scientists and human neurologists who come together to explore how such a traumatic technology could evolve to have an antithetical application. Meanwhile, the Soriano command must grapple with a burgeoning ethical dilemma. The initial cause of their abduction mission, to subjugate and extract information from human captives, now pales in comparison to the profound revelation of human adaptability and unyielding spirit. The very essence of the Soriano species, one that prized intellectual superiority and controlled aggression, stands now at a crossroads, overshadowed by the unpredictable and awe-inspiring human potential. Through collaborative sessions held in the ship's makeshift conference room, adorned with holographic displays and universal translation mechanisms, the humans, led by Jeff, and the Sorianos, including Tamali, present their respective observations and proposals. Conversations unfold with surprising fluidity, bridging the cultural and intellectual divide that once seemed insurmountable. The ambiance in these sessions shifts from cautious diplomacy to genuine curiosity and mutual respect. One of the more engaging debates centers around the implications of the coercion harness's transformation. Jeff, a practical man of formidable combat experience and blunt sincerity, highlights the unique evolutionary pathway of the device. The survival instinct, coupled with psychological resilience, has unparalleled adaptive potentials. Your most feared weapon does not weaken us, it highlights our ability to find strength in adversity. Tamali, with his methodical yet impassioned manner of speaking, adds, "Your resilience is a phenomenon that not only defies our understanding but reshapes it." I propose that we analyze the neural interactions during the harness's use. This might lead to revolutionary advancements in interspecies understanding and cooperation. As these discussions progress, the impact of this newfound unity begins to ripple outward. Far beyond the confined space of the Soriano vessel, messages are relayed across the intergalactic communication grid. Reports of a human warrior turning a device of torment into something empowering garner attention from both the warring Soriano factions and the distant, formidable Duvan Empire. Observers from numerous species within the interstellar community find themselves captivated by the narrative unfolding in real time. Leaders of the Soriano factions and representatives of the Duvan Empire, hitherto locked in unrelenting conflict, are compelled to reevaluate their positions. If the humans, with their unparalleled resilience and adaptability, can repurpose an instrument of suffering into a medium for strength, what other transformative potentials lie untapped within their societies? The prospect of unification, erstwhile disregarded, now gains unprecedented traction. The Soriano vessel becomes a hub of diplomatic engagement, with emissaries from both Soriano factions and the Duvan Empire converging on board. These representative forces bring with them not just offers of peace but proposed frameworks for cooperative research and interspatial development. The ship's once battle-scarred corridors now host high-level negotiations and collaborative sessions, where the shared aim is no longer domination but collective advancement. Throughout this unfolding transformation, the figure of Jeff remains a constant focal point, an embodiment of human tenacity whose actions have set in motion a galaxy-wide paradigm shift. During quieter moments, when the hum of diplomatic chatter subsides, he and Tamali find themselves reflecting on their journey. The sobering realization that what began as a mission of survival has morphed into a beacon of hope and unity for multiple civilizations leaves them both contemplative and resolute. In the high-ceilinged, bioluminescent expanse of the Soriano vessel's central atrium, the tension of potential remains palpable. Diplomats, scientists, and military personnel congregate, their collective anxiety intermingling with a burgeoning sense of optimism. Those who were once enemies now stand side by side, contemplating not only the immediate future but the boundless possibilities that cooperation might yield. The final moments of this chapter cast a reflective light on the significance of their newfound understanding. The human relaxation spa, hums quietly, a poignant reminder that even the darkest of tools can become the brightest beacons under the right conditions. The Soriano ship, now a crucible of interstellar unity, emits a silent, resolute promise to the galaxy writ large. In a narrative rich with ethical exploration, technological marvels, and profound emotional undertones, the specter of what comes next looms large. Will this unprecedented alliance forge a path to lasting peace, or will the remnants of old hostilities simmer beneath the surface, threatening to reignite at the slightest provocation? The future remains shrouded in mystery, and while the seeds of hope have been sown, the fruition of their potential is a tale still unfolding. And it is with this tantalizing uncertainty that we leave our characters, poised at the threshold of an uncharted journey, bracing for whatever the cosmos has in store. The galaxy buzzed with a hum of renewed life and possibilities. In the weeks following Jeff's transformative ordeal, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath as the profound implications of what had transpired began to ripple outward. On board the interstellar vessels and in the hidden outposts dotting the celestial landscape, murmurs of curiosity and astonishment filled the air. Few could fathom how an instrument of such sheer agony had morphed into a symbol of serene relaxation and human adaptability. It defied reason, yet the facts stood undeniable. Jeff's performance under the coercion harness had not merely been a display of individual strength, it had shifted paradigms. No longer could the galaxy view humans through the lens of fragility. A newfound respect permeated the interactions between species, particularly among the Soriano factions and the domineering Duvan Empire. Meetings that once consisted of terse, barely controlled aggression now unfolded with a delicate balance of respect and curiosity. A considerable shift was afoot. In the grand halls of the Union's headquarters, the deliberations were intense and hopeful. Representing the Soriano factions and the Duvan Empire were delegates who had once viewed each other through the crosshairs of blaster scopes. Now, they sat across from each other, guarded but with an air of cautious optimism. Behind closed doors, they negotiated the terms of a tentative peace, each side acutely aware of the new bridge humans had inadvertently built between them. Leaders of various civilizations convened for a historic summit. The luminescent chambers of the Union Council shimmered with various diodes and holographic displays, each representing a faction or empire across the galaxy. The proceedings were of monumental significance. They had realized that humanity's unparalleled resilience could prove pivotal in galactic matters, not as mercenaries or mere foot soldiers, but as mediators and innovators. Jeff's story was recounted numerous times, his name becoming synonymous with unparalleled endurance and adaptability. Tamali, now recognized as a crucial link in these events, found himself not only propelled into prominence within the Soriano scientific community but also among intergalactic circles. As a scientist, he marveled at how one human's neurological response to the coercion harness had managed to defy the expectations of countless scholars. In one of the Union's laboratories, the repurposed coercion harness, now called the Human Relaxation Spa, underwent rigorous scientific examination. Experts from various species collaborated, their findings further affirming humanity's unique neurological composition, which allowed for such paradoxical reactions to pain and pleasure. Ironically, the device that had sowed fear across the galaxy was now a subject of fascination and unity. Soriano engineers, once creators of terror, now sought to spread peace through technological innovation. Tourism surged on the vessels equipped with the Human Relaxation Spa. Beings from far-flung corners of the galaxy queued for a chance to experience what had so captivated the entire universe. Sorianos and Duvans, once bitter rivals, now laughed together as they shared stories of their experiences within the spa. The lines separating cultures began to blur, replaced by a mutual respect and camaraderie, not forged through war, but through shared relaxation and discovery. As Jeff and Tamali finally had a moment to sit back and reflect on their journey, they found themselves aboard one of the newly christened spa ships. The ambience on the ship was a far cry from the hostile environment they had endured weeks prior. Soft lights and calming sounds filled the air, a stark contrast to the battle cries and blaster fire that once echoed through its halls. Jeff watched with a contemplative smile as diverse beings sauntered into the spa chambers, some tentative, others eager, but all united by a mutual curiosity. Tamali, deeply engrossed in his portable data console, reflected earnestly on the enigmatic resilience of his human companion. He had always been an advocate for rationality and empiricism, and yet, the events he had witnessed defied simple explanation. Was it solely down to human neurology, or was it something more, the indomitable human spirit? The very essence of adaptability and survival seemed woven into their DNA, a trait that had now sparked a domino effect of peace and unity. Jeff, Tamali finally said, breaking the reflective silence. Do you ever think that perhaps it wasn't just the technology that transformed us, but our willingness to see beyond it? Jeff pondered this, his rugged face softening. Maybe, Tamali, maybe it's because, in our darkest moments, we find what truly unites us. Pain, fear, resilience, it all brings out who we really are. The galactic broadcast channels, which had been rife with news of war and conflict, now eagerly reported on the unprecedented alliance forming between the Soriano factions and the Duvan Empire. Political analysts across systems spoke of a new era, one where unity triumphed over discord. Humanity had once again proven itself capable of the most astonishing outcomes. The interstellar community watched in awe, realizing they were witnessing history in the making. High-ranking officials from worlds previously untouched by the conflict now reached out for diplomatic talks, inspired by the newfound camaraderie. Policies were rewritten, alliances were forged, and a harmonious vision for the future seemed not just possible, but attainable. As the months went by, the cooperative efforts between the Soriano factions and the Duvan Empire strengthened, laying the groundwork for a unified galactic force aimed at exploration rather than domination. They pooled their resources, technological, intellectual, and even cultural, setting their sights on understanding the universe rather than conquering it. Scholars and scientists from diverse backgrounds collaborated, exchanging knowledge and ideas that spurred countless advancements. The transformation extended beyond mere politics and technology. Cultural exchanges flourished, with festivals celebrating peace and unity becoming annual events. The culinary delights of the Duvans, the artistic expressions of the Sorianos, and the innovative gadgets from Earth permeated various worlds. By sharing the essence of their unique identities, they fostered a richer, more harmonious existence. Jeff's journey, once marked by conflict and peril, now became a beacon of hope and resilience. He continued serving as a Marine but took on the additional role of a cultural ambassador, promoting peace wherever he went. His tales of bravery and endurance inspired many, showing that even the direst of circumstances could yield the most remarkable outcomes. Meanwhile, Tamali dedicated himself to furthering his research, now with access to a plethora of intergalactic resources. His findings not only advanced scientific understanding but also showcased the importance of cross-species cooperation. His work, both in the lab and as a liaison between factions, epitomized the harmonious vision they all strove for. Yet, despite the overwhelming success and widespread positivity, a sense of enigma lingered. The true depths of human resilience and adaptability remained only partially understood, leaving scholars and scientists fascinated and puzzled. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention, We are the Sci-Fi family.